Hey guys, Colin here from CH Gadgets. So, Samsung has finally made a wow phone. I know, you're wondering, what do I mean by a wow phone? Okay, just chill, I'm gonna explain. But before we get into it, I think I should say that if you ever wanted to know why is it that Samsung is currently at the top of the mobile food chain, then you need to go to your nearest service provider store or a Samsung Experience store or just any neighborhood electronics store that has the Z Fold 3 on display and just touch, feel, open, close, view, watch, and then it will be evident to you. But let me unpack that for you just a little bit more. The moment you get the Z Fold 3 and hold it in your hand, you immediately get a vivid picture in your mind of what the word premium really means. And I actually think when Samsung was planning the Z Fold 3, they were thinking to themselves, we have to create something that has no equal, no parallel, a real statement piece that make people's jaws drop. And they came up with this, one of the most futuristic looking device that I've ever seen. I have to say though, that no equals part is probably out for the jury right now. But the jaw dropping part, they nailed it. You won't be able to keep your eyes off of this thing, and neither will other people when they see it in your hands. This is bona fide luxe. The frame was forged out of some really high quality armored aluminum, and the 6.2-inch AMOLED 120Hz display on the front cover is protected by a Gorilla Glass Victus. It is much narrower than the average smartphone, but it is really beautiful display. By the way, it's also protected by Gorilla Glass Victus on the back. You also have some additional protection with IPX8 water resistant. This means that if you're caught in the rain, you shouldn't have to worry about anything. This is the Phantom Black, and if you'd watch my S21 Ultra review on this channel, then you would already know that I really love this finish. But if you're not that matte black type of person, then don't worry, because you could get this in Phantom Silver and Phantom Green. The hinge on the Z Fold 3 is one of the key things that really embodies how luxurious this phone looks and feels, in my opinion. The first thing that you're going to notice when you open and close this device is you hear silence, nothing. It is really fascinating how they have engineered the hinge system to make it feel like it's almost floating on air when you open and close it. But on the flip side, it is those same tight tolerances of the entire frame and hinge system that gives you the assurance that this is a well-built machine, and it gives you that satisfying feeling that you get when you open and close the door of a 7 Series or one of those S-Class. So whenever you finally get past the front cover display and the hinge, you're greeted with a really large 7.6-inch dynamic AMOLED Quad HD display that is actually the main event and the main reason why you'd want to get this device in the first place. And the best part is, it is a 120Hz display that supports beautiful HDR10 plus content at a peak brightness of 1200 nits. You won't be able to take your eyes from off of this display. It is bright, the colors are rich and vivid, and the best part of all, your apps look much larger on this display. Also, if you have an app that is not optimized for this device, you can just jump into the settings and adjust the aspect ratio. Another surprising thing about this device is the dual stereo speaker setup. It is probably one of the best speaker systems on a mobile phone right now. It is loud, rich, full, with plenty of range to keep you immersed. The crease down the center was definitely noticeable when I just took it out of the box, but after I started using it, I didn't really notice it that much anymore, unless I was doing something with my finger and I would just graze over it a little bit, or I was using it at a certain angle and the light reflect on it and it hit me, and then I would be like, oh, okay, you're still here. But here's what's cool about this internal Infinity Flex display. You get some really thin bezels and 88.8% screen to body ratio with an absolutely no camera cutout or notch to interrupt your viewing pleasure. However, you still do get a front facing selfie camera so you can do your regular Zoom meetings, but it's a secret hidden camera that only appears when you need it and disappears when you don't. It's like magic. And that is because Samsung has decided to use some really cool sophisticated technology that hides the camera underneath the display so that you can have an uninterrupted view viewing experience no matter what you're doing on this display. And it's truly fascinating how well this thing works. I'm a big fan. But on the flip side, what I'm not a fan of is this 4 megapixel under display camera. Come on guys, you could at least given us a 8 megapixel or a 10 megapixel camera like the one that is on the cover display. It is what it is, and it does get the job done. But don't worry, we're gonna come back to cameras later. But pretty much every time I take this phone out of my pocket and unfold it in public, there is at least one person with an amazed look on their face like, wait, what? Wow. So yeah, I guess it's the wow phone. So I'm telling you officially right now, if you're an introvert and you don't like a lot of attention, then this isn't the phone for you. Because the moment you take it out and start to use it, you're gonna attract a lot of attention and a whole lot of conversation. So be warned. But on the flip side, if you're one of those outgoing and networking type of person, then this is right up your alley. This phone not only looks good and super premium and luxurious on the outside, it also has some of the best hardware on the inside. Powerful Snapdragon 888 5G 5nm chipset with 256 gigs or 512 internal storage and 12 gigs of UFS 3.1 RAM. Plus, it's running Android 11 with that special version of One UI 3.1 on top. All of these combined creates an amazing user experience and a great tool that is powerful enough and capable of helping you get your work done. But at the end of the day, it doesn't skip a beat when it's time to play. Speaking of play, you get a 4400 mAh battery inside, which is not as large as some of the other smartphones on the market, but it does support 25 watt fast charging and 11 watt fast wireless charging. Unfortunately, you don't get either of the chargers in the box, so you would have to purchase them separate. However, one of the welcome addition is the Z Fold 3 can do 4.5 watt reverse wireless charging, which means that you can flip it over and top up your smartwatch or your Galaxy Buds on the back. There are multiple ways to unlock this phone, such as Face Unlock, but it's not as secure as Face ID, so you may have to program your biometrics with your thumb or any finger that you desire. And one of the truly remarkable things about this phone is you get multiples with everything. For example, you get 2 displays, 2 stereo speakers, 3 microphones, and 5 cameras. Yes, you heard me correctly. 5 cameras. 2 selfie cameras and 3 rear cameras. On the back, you get a 12 megapixel f1.8 26mm equivalent wide-angle lens with dual pixel phase detection autofocus and optical image stabilization. And fun fact, this is actually the same exact Sony IMX555 CMOS sensor and lens combination that is the main camera in the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus. There's also a 12 megapixel f2.4 52mm equivalent telephoto lens with phase detection autofocus and optical image stabilization, which gives you about a 2x optical zoom. You also get a 12 megapixel f2.2 123-degree field of view 12mm ultra wide lens, and those are just the rear cameras. On the front, starting with the cover display, you get 10 megapixel 26mm equivalent wide angle lens, which means you should be able to fit a whole bunch of people in the frame whenever you're taking one of those group selfies. And last but not least, the fifth camera is a 4 megapixel under display camera, and my overall experience with the cameras are really good, especially the ones on the rear, which is totally expected. You have some really good sensors, and Samsung's processing equals really good photos. Although it's not as good as what the S21 Ultra can produce, but that's a different kind of animal, and it does produce some really good results. I'm not a big selfie kind of guy, but I do like the results that the cover display produces. And overall, the main purpose of the under display camera is so that you can have your Zoom meetings on this big beautiful display, and it actually handles that pretty well, so I won't come down on it too hard for the low resolution. Look, the Z Fold 3 is a remarkable showcase of technology and innovation, and just demonstrate how far into the future Samsung is looking and how revolutionary they are as a company to design and build a device like this that literally make people's jaws drop and involuntarily blurt out wow whenever they see it in person for the first time. So I know you're probably saying to yourself, there's no way in the world this phone is so perfect, and you're right, there is no perfect smartphone, and this one has a few quirks. The first thing is this phone is really bulky and thick when it's folded in your hand, and on top of that, it is significantly heavier in my pocket than when I'm carrying my normal phone. It's almost like it's 1.5 phone in my pocket. The battery life is not the worst, but it could be better, and on top of that, there there is no charger in the box, so you'd have to buy one separate. Also, why couldn't it just support 50-watt wire charging? Just saying. The under display selfie camera is only 4 megapixels, and the fact that it's under the display and it's low resolution, not gonna be as sharp and crispy as the covered display selfie camera. But you have a lot of other cameras on this device to choose from, so it's not really a big deal. And the last thing is, this phone is seriously pricey, and it's probably one of the most expensive smartphones on the market right now. And that may be a good or a bad thing depending on who you are, but for the price, you get almost every single high-end feature that you could expect on a flagship smartphone and then some. So none of the quirks that I just mentioned are really deal breakers to me personally. However, you would have to consider if these small compromises are things that you're willing to live with in order to have one of the coolest smartphones on the planet. To be completely honest though, this device is not for everyone. But let me tell you exactly who this phone is for. This phone is for the person that does every single thing on their mobile device. That includes work, play, and everything in between. And if that is you, then go get it. It's definitely for you, and it's definitely the phone that you need. By the way, if you want one for yourself, definitely check the link down in the description. And thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I hope you find some value in what I said, and if you do, please make sure you click that like button on your way out, and make sure you turn on the notification so you can know when I drop my next video. Thanks for watching. It's your boy. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace.